Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chikako, your illustrator friend. This is a safe space for all of creatives pursuing art. If you're watching my video for the first time, nice to meet you. Today, I will introduce some watercolor techniques that you can use from today, whether you already use watercolor or you are thinking of trying out. I hope this video will be helpful for you and inspiring. Alright, are you ready? Let's go! For practice, I'll be using a lot of small papers. They will look cute if you frame them in small frames or compile them into a mini sketchbook. This technique is perfect for painting beautiful skies. Use plenty of water to apply the first color. Then, while the paper is still wet, add the next color with a different brush. What kind of sky are you watching right now? Now let me show you my variation. Around 6 p.m., the sky in Saskatoon, where I live, turns blue and yellow. The moment the sun sets, it's so beautiful, isn't it? If you want to paint clouds, a towel will come in handy. Press a towel onto the wet areas to lift the pigment and create fluffy clouds. This technique has two steps. First, paint a circular shape on the dry paper. It can be any shape you like. The key here is to let it dry completely before moving to the next step. Once dry, add in the second layer. As you see, those circles stay the shape without mixing with new layers. It will create a sense of depth. As I added colors, they started to look like planets, so I turned it into a mini universe. Maybe I will add a UFO exploring space. Why not? It doesn't have to be only 2 layers. You can play more extra layers to create more depth if you want. One of the challenging things about watercolor could be amount of water and color. For example, if you add dark color from the beginning, you cannot go back to lighter color later for adjustment. And also water can move unexpected ways. Also, if you don't wait enough time for drying paper, color might mix up. But this is a reminder for you and me that first attempt usually not goes well, and that's normal. That's why we do practice. This technique involves blending colors into a wet surface. First, choose a base color. Paint a leaf shape using plenty of water. Then, while it's still wet, drop in a second color and let them mix naturally. This technique works beautifully for flowers and plants. Recently, I watched a documentary about bears playing with leaves, so I think I will add a bear to this one. I really love this soft, gentle feel of watercolor. Let's keep going. For this technique, use a dry brush. First, pick a color and load your brush with paint. Then, wipe off the extra paint with a towel. Now, apply it to the paper. You will get a unique texture like that. Even old damaged brush can create interesting effects, so I recommend you to keep them all. Let's see. Maybe I will paint a whale. Have you ever heard whale songs? They're incredible singers. Right now I'm painting the water they splash. I'll mention this technique again later, so stay tuned. I've never seen a whale in person. Just imagining a creature tens of times bigger than me is fascinating. The world is full of mysteries. Let's move on. For this technique, we will use salt. Sprinkle salt onto wet paint. It creates beautiful textures. Here's how it looks after 10 minutes. Such a magical effect. As I stared at the pattern, it started looking like leaves, so I decided to turn it into a leafy design. And for a little companion, I will add enaga. This tiny, fluffy white bird lives in Hokkaido, Japan. Seeing them in the future is one of my bucket list. Now let's use the towel technique again to create a cloudy night sky. Here I will introduce white paint. Instead of watercolor, I'm using gouache, acrylic work still. Mix a little water into the paint to make it more fluid. Then flick it onto the paper with your fingers. Now we have a beautiful starry night sky. I will add a dog floating on a white cloud. The contrast is a bit weak. The more I look at it, the more I like it. By the way, I created this channel as a space for creatives who enjoy the process of making art. And I also enjoy sharing my Japanese background around the way. Your like button and subscribing, leaving a comment really encourage me. As always, thank you so much for your support, and let's go back to the video. Next, let's use cotton swabs. Dip a cotton swab into water, add some colors to it, put it onto the paper to create small circles. Once you have lots of circles, connect them with a thin brush to turn them into cute little plants. You can also use the back of brush or a brush cap for different effects. This process is super relaxing, and I think I will add a butterfly here. Is spring arriving where you are? I remember a time when I was growing vegetables on my balcony. I was growing kale, but one day I recognized that caterpillars had eaten it all. Maybe I will try growing something again this year, like tomatoes. One of the tricky things about watercolor is how easily the paint spreads with water. And that's where masking tape comes in handy. By covering areas where you don't want color, you can prevent unwanted bleeding. Right now, I've used masking tape to block out the shape of a moon and mountains. Now I'll boldly apply watercolor over it. Once it dries, I will peel off the tape, and look! The covered area remains crisp and clean. Now I will use some leftover white paint to add a dragon. I like drawing dragon. I feel powerful after drawing them somehow. That's it for today. I hope you try out some techniques with watercolor and have a good day. またね